Episode 4, Part 1. Through the Eyes of the Family and Friends. Boundaries. Why I finally had to say no. Welcome back to Bridging the Gap, understanding both sides. One goal, healing. I'm Christina Fox, and today we're talking about one of the hardest words for those of us affected by addiction, boundaries. If you've never loved someone struggling with addiction, you might think boundaries are easy. Just say no. Just stop helping them. Just walk away. But anyone who's lived it knows. There is no just. Every boundary usually comes after months or years of trying everything else first. We don't wake up one morning wanting to say no. Most of us spend a very long time saying yes. Yes to another ride, to another promise, another chance, another excuse, and to another sleepless night, until one day, we realize we're drowning too. I often hear from the other loved ones telling me, I felt guilty for saying no. I felt like I was abandoning them. I wondered if this would be the last time I ever spoke to them. Those thoughts are real. I've lived them myself. I've questioned whether I was doing the right thing. I've wondered if my boundary would be the thing that finally pushed them away. I've cried after hanging up the phone. I've replayed conversations over and over in my head, not because I stopped loving them, but because I loved them so much. Here's what I want people in recovery to hear. Most boundaries are not created out of anger. They're created out of exhaustion. We don't set boundaries because we have stopped caring. We set boundaries because we have spent so long trying to save someone else that we have forgotten how to take care of ourselves. A healthy boundary isn't saying, I don't love you anymore. It's saying, I love you. I can't keep participating in something that's hurting both of us. Sometimes that means saying no to money and refusing to lie to others about what's going on. It means not answering every phone call and allowing consequences to happen naturally. And sometimes, it simply means that we just step back long enough so that we both get the opportunity to heal. That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It hurts deeply, because every parent wants to rescue their child. Every spouse wants to fix the relationship. Every grandparent wants to protect their grandchild. Every family wants one more chance to make everything okay. And because that friend wants their friend back. But addiction teaches us something incredibly painful. Love cannot recover for another person. Recovery has to become their choice. One of the greatest misconceptions about boundaries is that they're punishment. They're not. Healthy boundaries are protection. They are protecting your emotional and physical health, along with your peace. And sometimes, they protect the person struggling with addiction from being rescued from their consequences. Because consequences often are the motivation behind the change. Now I want to speak directly to anyone listening who is in recovery. If your mom stopped giving you money, if your dad stopped paying your fines, if your spouse asked you to leave, if your sister stopped answering every phone call, it probably felt like rejection. It probably felt like they didn't love you anymore. But I want you to know something. We have cried after making those decisions. We have questioned ourselves for days, weeks, even years. We have wondered if we have just made the biggest mistake of our lives. Those boundaries weren't lack of love. It was the deepest expression of love that we had left to give. Because we finally realized that loving you doesn't mean losing ourselves in the process. If you are a loved one listening today, and you're struggling to know where healthy boundaries begin, you're not alone. One of the most common questions I often hear is, how do I know if my boundary is healthy? That's exactly why I created my Healthy Boundary Builder. It's a free resource designed to help us identify the boundaries that protect our peace while encouraging healthier relationships. I have a copy of the Healthy Boundary Builder under the blog section on my website at ChristinaFoxAuthor.com. There you will find a form for both sides. In our next episode, we're going to cross the bridge and look at boundaries through the eyes of someone living with addiction or beginning recovery. Because while we often see boundaries as protection, our loved ones in addiction often experience those same boundaries as rejection. Understanding both perspectives doesn't remove the boundary, but it can help us all understand why they exist. I thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, I hope you'll listen to part 2, then like, share, and follow the podcast. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover in a future episode, I'd truly love to hear from you. To connect with me, please visit my website at ChristinaFoxAuthor.com. From there, you can explore my books, listen to the podcast, read the blog, subscribe to my newsletter, join and connect with me across all of my social media platforms. Until next time, protect your peace and choose healthy boundaries.
Take care.
Bridging the Gap. Episode 4, Part 2. Through the Eyes of Recovery. Boundaries. Why no felt like rejection. Welcome back to Bridging the Gap. Understanding both sides. One goal. Healing. I'm Christina Fox. Now, let's cross the bridge and look at boundaries through the eyes of someone living with addiction or beginning recovery. For many of us, boundaries didn't feel like love. They felt like rejection. When someone stopped giving us money, it felt like they didn't care. When someone stopped answering every phone call, it felt like they had given up on us. When someone asked us to leave, it felt like we had nowhere left to go. When someone finally said no, we often heard, "You're on your own." But that's not always what they were trying to say. One of the hardest things to understand in recovery is that the people who love us were hurting too. While we were fighting addiction, they were fighting fear. While we were trying to survive another day, they were wondering if we'd survive another night. While we were asking for one more chance, they were trying to figure out how many chances they could give without losing themselves in the process. Many of us didn't see that at the time. Addiction has a way of making everything feel personal. Every no sounds like rejection. Every boundary feels like abandonment. Every consequence feels unfair. Not because we're bad people, but because addiction changes the way we see the world. As recovery begins, something starts to change. We begin realizing that boundaries weren't always meant to push us away. Sometimes they were the only thing keeping our loved ones emotionally alive. Sometimes they were protecting the people we loved. And sometimes they were protecting us from continuing a cycle that was destroying everyone involved. That realization can be painful. It can also become one of the greatest turning points in recovery. Because once we begin understanding why boundaries were necessary, we stop seeing them as punishment, and we begin seeing them as love with limits. But recovery teaches us something else. Boundaries aren't only for families. We need them too. We have to set boundaries with people who still use, with places connected to our addiction, with old habits, with unhealthy relationships, with situations that threaten our recovery. And sometimes, we have to set boundaries around conversations. Families, I'd like to invite you to hear this part. Recovery doesn't mean pretending the past never happened. The past matters. Accountability matters. Healing conversations matter. But there is a difference between learning from the past and living in it. When every disagreement becomes a reminder of every mistake we've ever made, it's hard to build something new. Healthy conversations acknowledge the past. They don't use it as a weapon. Recovery is about rebuilding trust, not reliving yesterday every single day. That doesn't mean families should ignore what happened. It means both people deserve the opportunity to build healthier ways of communicating moving forward. One of the healthiest boundaries we can set in recovery is learning to say, "I'm willing to talk about the past if it's helping us heal, but I'm not willing to keep reopening wounds that neither of us is trying to heal." Healthy boundaries protect relationships. They don't destroy them. They create space where honesty can exist, where accountability can exist, where trust has the opportunity to grow again. If you're in recovery and you're wondering what healthy boundaries look like, I've created a healthy boundary builder specifically for people in recovery. Because boundaries aren't just about protecting ourselves. They're about protecting our recovery, our relationships, and our future. You can grab your copy of the Healthy Boundary Builder on my website at ChristinaFoxAuthor.com. Once there, go to the blog section, and you'll find it there. As we close today, I'd like to leave both sides with one thought. Our loved ones didn't set boundaries because they stopped loving us. They set them because they were trying to survive too. And for those of us in recovery, learning to respect those boundaries may become one of the greatest ways we begin rebuilding trust. Families deserve peace. People in recovery deserve the opportunity to change. Healthy boundaries make room for both. Because boundaries aren't walls built to keep people apart. They're bridges that allow healthier relationships to grow. Take responsibility for your healing. Give yourself grace. Protect your recovery. Respect healthy boundaries. And remember, healing grows when we stop seeing boundaries as rejection and begin seeing them as an act of love. I thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, I hope you'll listen to part 1, then like, share, and follow the podcast. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover in a future episode, I'd truly love to hear from you. To connect with me, please visit my website at ChristinaFoxAuthor.com. From there, you can explore my books, listen to the podcast, read the blog, subscribe to my newsletter, join and connect with me across all of my social media platforms. Until next time, protect your peace and choose healthy boundaries.
Take care.